everybody, and welcome back to episode 27 of CCA's podcast series. We are privileged to have Nate Krugman back again. That's part of the reason why we're still wearing the same clothes is because we wouldn't let him leave the building. So we wanted to roll right into a next episode because one thing we didn't really have time to do, Chris, my timer's not on. Man, how am I going to know when to cut this thing? There we go. Okay. But
You're
anyway,
cutting way high maintenance. Wow, my timer's not on. Somebody, can you get me some powder for my nose? I feel a little shiny.
But so we wanted to have one thing. I'm going to start with this because I want to make sure we don't run out of time without talking about this, because to me this was what is so cool is what you did. So kind of after your treatment, I think it was after your treatment.
Yeah.
You did something really cool from a fundraising point of view. So I'm just going to throw it over to you and have you talk about the trip you did.
Yeah, that was the best part of my cancer journey, which continues today, is helping people. That's the thing I walked away with, and kind of started actually during treatment. I remember my oncologist said, "Nate, there's a book you can read." This is the day before I was going to get treatment, and he was like, "It's about this woman who would put on red lipstick, and that was like her kind of outward way of showing her inward spirit."
Okay.
And I said, "Well, hey doc, that's great, but I'm not going to do red lipstick, yeah. But I'll think of something." And so, my first day of treatment, I came in with a mohawk. I had long black hair.
Are you serious?
Mohawk.
I mean,
this thing was like,
wow.
It was like,
okay.
I've got pictures of it.
Okay.
And I came in, and that was like my way of expressing, like, I'm going to conquer this. My whole motto was, we are more than conquerors. We conquer. Okay. And so that was my way of saying, I'm gonna fight this thing. I'm gonna have the right attitude. I'm gonna be positive. I'm gonna let the doctors do their thing, but I'm gonna do my thing with just having the right attitude. So I came and I saw how that encouraged people. I'm like, man, I can encourage people with like little things like this. And so that was kind of a light bulb that went off. I didn't know how I wanted to encourage and inspire people, but light bulb went off that day. And then the second one that really kind of brought everything together was Sarah, my wife, girlfriend at the time. I moved from Anderson back in with my parents, and I was just getting like annihilated with medical bills.
Yeah.
And it just was like unbearable. I mean, I got all the like get well cards, and that was fantastic, but I was just getting hammered. Young guy out of college. Sarah was a substitute teacher at Mason. Today she's a teacher there. And so I'm working at the Newport Aquarium, making fish food for money, like nothing, right? And so I got this CAT scan, and my insurance group at the Newport Aquarium changed in the middle of all this. So my out-of-pocket started over, and I'm just getting hammered.
Painful.
And so the CAT scan, it was like $400 or $500, and I might tear up because it really changed my life. And Sarah, she wasn't making anything too. And she wrote a check. And when she did that, I was like, oh gosh. I mean, it really changed my life. That's why I do what I do today. Is like, I want to do this for other people. And so long story short, I said, I want to do something that feels impossible, just to creatively encourage, inspire, and help families who are dealing with medical debt, the mountain of that. So anyways, I cold called Cincinnati Children's Hospital and said, hey, I want to ride my bike across the country, and I'll give you all the money that I raised. And so I had like $88,000 in medical debt plus student loans. Thank you, Miami University. And so it took 4 years, but every single day, like I thought about like, okay, I'm going to ride my bike across the country for these kids and everybody who needs to be encouraged. And like every single day I thought about that. So we paid off the debt, bought a bike with cash. Hate riding my bike, still do, did. I'm not a cyclist, don't like spandex, no thank you. If you do, that's awesome. But like I literally don't like riding, I don't like cycling. So anyways, I did it. And so I remember I could only do like 50 miles a day before my knee would just kind of give out. My IT band was actually the issue. So fly out to San Diego. Sarah's mom, she's like, we're not going to let you do this alone, because I had Harper, who was 3, and Harrison was on the way. And so she got an RV, and I just rode from San Diego to St. Augustine, Florida. And every day I would do a video. So it's just like cancer. It's like one day at a time. For me, it's like 1 mile at a time.
Yeah.
So I'm going through all this adversity like you are, the mountains, the wind, all the stuff. But let's do it together. And so I'd do like this encouraging video every day. We raised $30,000. It was an unbelievable journey.
Cool.
And so for me, I walk away with that as like the best adventure in life. I think adventures are really healthy for everybody. Physically, spiritually, whatever. Adventures are good things. But the best adventure in life is just helping other people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. What was the funniest thing that happened on the trip? I don't mean to put you on the
Funniest thing. Oh, gosh.
You can think about it. We can come back later. If
Probably the seeing myself with spandex on in the mirror. Or being with my mother-in-law in a tiny little RV for 39 days. That was funny.
That's love.
Yeah,
That was funny.
yeah,
Maybe
you've
not
earned
funny,
your-
but there were funny moments in that.
Okay.
So-
All right. So, Jill, would you be inspired if Adam came home with a mohawk? You wouldn't find that inspiring, would you?
You know, I would find it something. I don't know that inspiring would be, but that
It
would
wouldn't
be
work
for a
now. I've got more of the Forrest Gump.
So real quick, and we don't want to spend too awful much time on this. Just, but as far as kind of what your treatment protocol was,
Yeah.
Just give us a minute or two on that if you can.
Yeah. So I remember when I was diagnosed, the first thing I did, which all the people who are listening don't do, is like get on the internet and start looking. And I did that, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is
This is going to be horrible.
horrible. I mean, I still remember the article I read had nothing to do with the reality. And I'm still freaked out by that. It never even happened.
Yeah.
So don't go on the internet.
Yeah.
I was fortunate. I had a good oncologist, but my oncologist, Dr. Richards, who's passed away,
Okay.
great man. He said, you got to go get a second opinion. He said that. And I think that's great. So we went, my dad took me to Indianapolis, saw Dr. Einhorn, who was Lance Armstrong's doctor. And it was just confirmation. It's like, I'm on the right treatment.
Yeah.
And so it was about 3 months, 3 rounds of chemo. I told Jill on break what those were, and lost all my hair, and the mohawk even disappeared. But
Now, did you shave it when it started to come out, or
it
did
was
you
kind.
just
I was
let
starting
it
to
get
look like Schmeagol
straggled?
from Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Like I would just kind of. I was like, I just gotta before it happens, I'm gonna just take this thing out. So I took it out, and the bald thing wasn't as bad as I thought either. So.
Yeah. You're a good-looking guy.
It was more the eyebrows I didn't like, but they came back, and life's good.
So, Jill, Nate's story about like what he felt and what he experienced, and then his treatment, was that all pretty much similar with Jeffrey's?
No, Jeffrey's diagnosis was very early on.
Okay.
So he had no lymph node involvement. The urologist who actually removed the tumor said that he really thought that it might have been the earliest detection that he'd ever seen.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So Jeffrey had surgical removal, and then now all he is doing is his scans every 6 months.
Okay.
They'll do that for about 3 years. And he also went out to Indianapolis and saw Dr. Einhorn.
Nice.
Because when your mom does what she does, and you know who the guru is in the nation, obviously you can't get away without going in and seeing him.
Yep.
So
I can't remember, did Jeffrey have a child before he was diagnosed?
So he did. So Jeffrey had a little girl. It wasn't even quite a full year before he was diagnosed. The thing that I really think was interesting looking back on it was the fact that they had trouble getting pregnant. And he had his swimmers tested, and they went and they looked, and they were like, you've got a lot of abnormal sperm in here. You've got a lot of them. It's not the quantity. It's just you don't have a whole lot of healthy ones. Okay. And in hindsight, I wonder if that was not the beginning of what was going wrong.
Okay.
But then they were lucky enough to conceive little Miss River, and she was born and perfectly healthy, and
nice.
So hopefully
is it possible to conceive with
one testicle?
Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
And with Jeffrey, obviously he didn't have to worry about things like banking or saving sperm because he didn't go through any chemotherapy.
Okay.
A lot of times when patients Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So a lot of times when patients go through chemotherapy, they want them to reserve some in case they want to have children later on.
Gotcha. Okay, so he didn't need to go to the private room.
He did not have to go to the private room.
Right. Okay, sounds good. So, Nate, so I'm trying to remember. So, you didn't have any children because you were only 24, right?
We didn't. No,
Okay.
Sarah and I were engaged, and yeah, I forget exactly what the doctor said, but there was a chance that we wouldn't have kids.
Okay.
He said he made that very clear, and so we did the whole sperm bank thing. And
Okay.
Private room, and
and but yeah, blessed to have 3 kids. Harper, I think they're miracles, really.
Yeah.
And so Harper is 10.
Okay.
I'm helping coach her softball team, and Harrison, who is 7, helping coaching his baseball team, and then Hattie, who is 6, and she's doing soccer. I'm not a soccer guy, but they're probably better that I'm not coaching.
standing on the sidelines,
Exactly.
cheering her
I'm
on.
an active dad.
That's good. That's
So,
good.
yeah.
So, and I understand when I say this. So we think about with breast cancer the importance of self-exam, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the good news is, I think, for guys, because I'm going to ask you in just a minute. I'm not asking you right now whether you should do self-exams, but I want to point out that no guy would do self-exams unless he was doing it for the right reason, because it's just not comfortable down there.
Right.
I mean, it's the slightest agitation does not feel good. So,
Well, and
but
even
should guys do self-exams?
They absolutely should be doing self-exams. But the other piece too is just being aware of your body.
Yeah.
Jeffrey picked it up when he was drying off when he got out of the shower. Things were a little extra tender, and he was like, "Why is it tender there?" And then realized that things didn't feel like they should.
Okay.
So it's hard to. This is going to be bad. There's no good way to go about this. But, when you tell men, hey, I need you to get your hands on your stuff because we need to make sure that there's not anything wrong. And especially when you're talking to a bunch of 20-year-olds, that might not be taken for the right reason. However, in this situation, just being very mindful and very aware of what's going on with your body and if there's anything out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jill, that's good because I again, my friend Paul, and we still talk. But he's like, dude, I'm so sorry. Paul tells me, and I have to send this to Paul. But Paul was like, dude, you're fine, and I'm glad that I just went. And I'm not a doctor guy, and there's a lot of guys out there that just men don't like going to the doctor. Mm-hmm. I still don't. But I'm glad I did. It saved my life. And I remember when I was with Dr. Einhorn, I was out in the lobby and I went in to see him, and he's like, there's a guy that just left, Nate, that is in really bad shape because it just the length of time and it spread. And he's like, like you said, Steve, catch this thing early and you're good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let it go and you're rolling the dice. So get it checked out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been fun. Any other kind of little comments you want to make about male anatomy or anything like that?
Anything about male anatomy?
Okay, so
no,
we're
I
good.
think we're good.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, this has been a blast. Thanks, Nate, for coming out.
Thank you both.
Thanks for staying put. Now we'll go eat some pizza together.
Let's go.
Break bread. Anyway, thanks, everybody. We'll look forward to seeing you next Wednesday at noon. See ya.